Some days on Steam, you see those weird games and you just have to try them. I mean, I like management games that are kinda unique in a way, but hey, the idea of running a store sounds kinda neat to me. And in this game, King of Retail, you can definitely do so. I like to try these indie games from Steam that come literally out of nowhere. But King of Retail by Freaking Games is in early access. So that's why I'm doing an early access preview on it today. So let's check it out. When you start off, you have to create your manager, and wow, I'm getting some weird vibes here. I don't blame indie devs for using simple models, but some days you just have to poke fun at it. They look like they might be from the Epic Game Dev Marketplace store, or whatever you call it, but I understand if an indie dev needs to reach out to get those assets. I mean, I've tried making video games before and it's not an easy job! But we begin the game after creating our character. Then we choose between Corporation or Entrepreneur mode. I chose Corporation for this part. And you are put into a world map which gives me some pretty strong Sims 2 vibes. You click around looking for contract work to take so you can start making money for your quote-unquote corporation. You haven't actually made one yet. You'll do that later. After finding a contract, then began a few doubts. It had a slideshow tutorial, which is not preferred, not going to lie. There's also not a way that I know of to access it later, so I have to fumble around with stuff to learn and figure things out. In the beginning of the game, you don't actually run a store and are sort of in charge of running a store for somebody else. You get a set amount of money every day per day that you run that store, but all the earnings you make from that store will give you nothing in return. The contracts give you a small day-to-day pay, but have a goal set to achieve, which will give you a big bonus upon completion. So I start up and get a small clothes store going, and it's pretty easy going. Just stock your shelves, run the cash register, then are in charge of setting down furniture to realize how to work your store. Thankfully, the first day doesn't have a time limit, so you can figure out how to decorate and stock your store accordingly. Unfortunately, at the end of this day, they bring out the hidden cost of, oh hey, we're charging you rent for this day too, which felt kind of brutal to start off, to be frank. It also gives you another slideshow of what you can do in the office of a store, which at the beginning you don't really have much ability to utilize. Here you launch an advertising campaign, order stock, hire employees, or review your stocks. But we'll just run our shop for the time being. One thing I really dislike is the negotiation minigame. I didn't even understand it at first, but it takes a lot of button presses to try and convince a customer to either come into your store and not buy anything, and even more button presses to convince them to actually buy something. This is all while you're trying to juggle restocking and cashiering at once. And frankly, I just dislike the sales thing. I mean, it's a good idea, just executed poorly. I would say maybe give us decorations to influence customers' happiness, and not talk to Karen when she can't decide if she wants to buy apples or not. Just there's a lot of effort that goes into the sales game for minor priced objects. For something big like a computer that you can sell, I get it. But for shirts or food, no, that's kind of stupid and a bit of a waste of time. Stocking is kind of neat because you can set up shelves and items individually, and it could be a bit of a minor hassle to start off with, but it does add a bit of flair to your store. There is also a huge list of items to buy from. They're all a bit of a reskin of similar items with similar stats, but customers appreciate variety and are even open to buying different items in your store, so that technically means more money. You also have cashiering, which is obvious enough. But these are all the things you can manually work during the day, at least until you can have an AI employee do some of those jobs for you. But going back to the beginning, you do contract shops until you have saved up enough money to start your own store, then get into what I call the actual game. You buy a headquarters and design your shop, mainly designating what products you want to sell, then making an icon. Then after buying shelves and the like, you're ready to go! Unfortunately, you need to build up a reputation with your store, because a grand opening doesn't mean customers are going to fly in right away. I didn't figure this out initially, but it's probably a good idea to have some money set aside for an advertising campaign so people will know your store actually exists. Unfortunately, I had to do it the hard way. I had to take out a loan to help. And I penny-pinched and prayed to our Jesus that he would give me enough customers to make ends meet. Unfortunately, I survived and managed to start paying back my debt and built up a reputation. Now every day I make enough to support at least one employee. This felt like a big success with an actual struggle to make your store succeed. And now I'm making a decent living. This challenge with a mix of your typical tycoon fun is honestly a fun time. Frankly, I don't know when it will be out of early access, but if you can get through the rough looks, stiff UI, and a bit of a learning curve, I can guarantee you will have a fun time building up your retail empire. This game's still in early access, and the sky is the limit for what they could add. I have only gotten one successful shop up and running, and enjoy managing it quite a lot. Of course, this was corporation mode. There's also entrepreneur mode, which just shoots you out into owning a store out of the bat, and that's kind of it. It's not as in-depth as corporation mode. But it's still there if you just want to jump into owning a single store right away, and not have to worry about the more extensive corporate parts of the game. But I think that'll wrap up this preview for now. Have you tried out King of Retail? What do you think? Leave your comments below. I know I've been doing a lot of previews lately, and it's kinda because there's not a lot of interesting games coming out right now, other than games coming out in early access. And there's a lot there. But anyway, I think that'll wrap up this video. If you like my content, feel free to like. If you want more, feel free to slap that subscribe button. Every button click and interaction helps my battle against the YouTube algorithm. And thank you for all the support. We hit 200 subs, and it means a lot to me that you all enjoy my content. This is Mr. B, and I'm clocking out for today. Bye-bye.